All right, we are going live. Let's invite our friend Ashley Brooks. For the first time inviting guests, y'all. We are excited. Woo!
Hey,
Hey! We made
we
it!
made it.
Yay! How are you, Miss Ashley?
I'm good. How are
I'm
you?
good. I'm happy. You made me nervous all day in the sense of like, oh gosh, I can't wait. I can't
Good,
wait.
good, good.
Good stuff. Good. Well, thank you, Ashley. Ashley Brooks is in the house, guys, the Behold Begold house. Thank you, Ashley, for joining us in this live today. We are going to get to know all about you and your awesome book that you published, Chemo Kids. We're going to go, here's how it's going to go down for the audience who are watching and who will be watching later on. So I got my monitor beside me where I can follow my way so I don't get lost. But if I'm looking this way, you know why. But yeah, this is a casual chat. Ashley and I, we put our heads together. Really, really cool that she published this book. And, I was like, well, you're a childhood cancer survivor, and that's what this platform's for. And for survivors to connect, survivors who are undergoing late effects of treatment, and who are just doing amazing things. And Ashley is doing amazing things. And so we want to learn more about Ashley and all about this book and her life. So, all right, we are going to go down a set of steps over here. And right now, I'm kind of just going to introduce myself. And then Ashley will get to introduce herself. And then we're going to ask Ashley some questions about what she kind of just some questions about her, and then afterwards we're gonna do the book. Ashley's gonna read the book to us, Chemo Kids to us. We're excited. And then we're gonna ask Ashley some closing questions. So yes, so hang in with us, guys. If you're there, awesome. Hello everybody, and thank you for being here if you're tuning in live. And yeah, so first I want to say thank you to Ashley. Thank you, Ashley, for being on here with us on Behold Begold live, Instagram, all exclusive. Um, Behold Begold is a platform. Oh, my name is Juanita Prada. I started the Behold Begold platform because I felt there wasn't much voice for childhood cancer survivors who are undergoing the late effects of treatment. So for those people who are not well educated about childhood cancer, or the late effects of treatment is really just what happens after a child survives childhood cancer, right? So we want to take that into consideration, that a child is not gonna always be free of cancer, because cancer is something that free of disease, but the cancer affects all the treatment that children had to undergo as children. We got to think that their body's still developing, the organs are still developing. There's all this stuff that's happening with procedures and treatments and toxics, and that really leaves these kids sometimes not so good as they get older. But kids are resilient, adolescents are resilient. We're talking, this is childhood cancer, is the house of children and adolescents. So these are kids that are just like Ashley and I, we are resilient human beings who keep going with our lives, and we want to keep going with our day-to-day lives. However, day to day we might struggle some in very specific ways, just because of health issues or psychosocial issues that we had as that we just currently have because of our past treatment. So Behold Begold is a voice for those who are really wanting to shed a light on those individuals undergoing the late effects of cancer treatment, childhood cancer treatment. So thank you everybody for being here. We hope that Behold Begold continues to be a platform that keeps growing. If you have something that you want to share as a survivor undergoing the late effects of treatment, please feel free to comment and message me and just say, hey, I also have something to share. So this is what this is for, support system. So enough about me and Behold Be Gold. People can look that up on here. But now, Ashley, please tell us about you. Tell us about, one of the questions I had, and we're going to go through a list of questions. So your decision to pursue, wait, I'm sorry. We are going to first get to know about you before we ask these questions. So go on.
Okay.
Please
So,
tell us about you. Who is Ashley Brooks and your childhood cancer story, etc., and what you do these days,
yeah.
etc.?
So, I am a childhood liver cancer survivor. So, I was diagnosed with liver cancer at the age of 2. I finished my last procedure when I was 5. And I've been experiencing late effects ever since my last dose of chemotherapy. So that's the thing that we have in common. Currently, right now, I'm a nurse. I'm a GI nurse. So I help out with screenings with colon cancer and things across those lines. And I also do a little bit of freelance modeling on the side as well.
Woo! Get it. Love it.
Yes.
Love it. So wow. So that's incredible that you've pursued a field really that I think that happens with a lot of childhood cancer survivors. You live within the hospital, you see a lot of things, you meet a lot of people. You're a child learning about all these equipment and things, and so and in a way you survive, and then you kind of want to pursue something that's like going to be impactful, right? So is your decision to pursue a career in nursing, it's very inspiring. What motivated you to choose this path, and how do you see your experiences as a survivor influencing your approach to patient care?
Yes. So in nursing school, they always say the best nurses are the ones that have gone through the most in the hospital,
Hmm.
right? So whether it's heart disease, cancer, psych issues, anything, because you actually know the patient experience and you actually get to experience what the patient's experiencing in the hospital. My inspiration behind my story of me being a nurse was actually my life specialist. Her name is Jill.
Mhm.
And she's also the founder of Friends with Kids with Cancer in St. Louis, Missouri. So pretty much what happened was I went home to St. Louis, Missouri to visit her, and we met. And she was just telling me, she was like, "Oh, you're just like your story and everything." She was like, "You would be an amazing nurse." And at the time, I was at the end of a career. I had already had my degree in biology, but I was still young enough to go back to school and pursue nursing and whatnot. But I was just kind of like, oh, I don't know. Like I'm kind of burnt out, and do I really want to work in a hospital? Like I'm
Yeah.
already used to being in a hospital, So do I
Yeah.
really want to go back? And so, no, she was just telling me that like it's almost rewarding in a sense to give back to that population. Not I particularly don't work in oncology, but it's rewarding as a nurse to give back to your patients because you've already had that experience. You know what it's like. You already have that compassion and empathy and whatnot. And a lot of nurses, some of them do not have that, which is positive. So she kind of inspired me. She told me about her story, and her story was pretty much that her brother had leukemia and he was 16 when he had it, and this was back in like the 60s, so there was no awareness, right? There was no Instagram, no Facebook,
No.
no support system, no nothing. And she kind of had like the same experience that I had. That her family didn't talk about it, they kept it a secret. And then all of a sudden, she developed, like this internal fight, like, okay, I just lost the last person that was close to me. He passed of leukemia, and now I want to do something about it. And that's when that inspired her career for her to be a life specialist and for her to start a nonprofit. And so we kind of bonded through our own experiences, and that's kind of what inspired me into to becoming a nurse.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I think that's a story that I feel like going back to what we were saying, it really resonates with many childhood cancer survivors. Just the having the empathy, the giving back, I'm left in this earth for a reason,
Mhm.
and might as well. obviously just give back and really, you know this community, whatever it is. It doesn't even have to be within the hospital setting, but you have the heart to obviously give back and really resonate because you can relate, right? So I like what you emphasize, that not everybody has that. You might be a worker, but can you really empathize, right? Can you really empathize? And you can do that. So that's amazing. And I can do that. So that's amazing. That's a gift. So definitely that's definitely encouraging of them. All right, we're gonna transition and talk a little bit about your coping. So another question was, considering your experiences with hearing loss, cognitive difficulties, in parentheses, the chemo brain that we all talk about,
Yeah.
and other challenges, what advice would you offer to childhood cancer survivors coping with the long-term effects and finding their path forward?
Okay. So, one of the things that I like to do as far as coping mechanism, especially with chemo brain, and it's one of the things that's helped me like throughout nursing school, and even like right now, I swear by it. It's a herb called ashwagandha, and it's called a brain herb, and it helps with like stress, alertness. It makes you a little bit more focused, and it's natural. It's from the earth.
Mm-hmm.
I started taking that probably about two or 3 years ago, and I dramatically noticed the difference. I also do a lot of like lifestyle changes. Like when I was in nursing school, I noticed my brain was more active during the day, like early morning. So what I would do is I would never push myself to the limits anymore. Like I'd be in the bed by 8, 9 o'clock, and then I'd be up at like 5, 4 o'clock in the morning to study because I knew at that time that's when my brain was, the most
Yeah.
active. So I do different mechanisms across that line. I also practice meditations form, and it helps me like relax. Like even in the workplace, it just helps you just calm you down. They have like guided meditations on YouTube, breathing exercises, things across that line. The hearing loss is something that I just learned to accept.
Mm-hmm.
I can't really change it. I've always had it. Like in school, I always had
Mm-hmm.
accommodation. When I used to get my ears tested, I was told that my hearing loss is very slight. It's not so much of it is a little bit of a speech impediment. Like I do have a lisp with certain words, but it's more of a high frequency sound that I can't hear, like little high frequency beeping sound.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also comprehending and understanding. So I don't wear hearing aids. I never have worn hearing aids. It's not that kind of a loss. I never did sign language. I just sit up
Yeah.
front in the classroom. I did have in school I had a thing called an FM system that I used, and it just made the teacher's voice louder. But again, it's lifestyle changes, right?
Like,
So like even like closed captioning on
yeah.
TV or closed captioning on Instagram or putting your phone on hearing impaired mode. So if you don't hear it, it flashes. Those are just things that you can do in order to make your life simpler,
Yeah.
in order to move forward. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, look at that. I think a lot of people are learning, through this Instagram live, and um, about the late effects, because that's something that a lot of survivors can experience. Like you're saying, you experience the hearing loss, and that's something that's really not commonly talked
Mhm.
about. We talk a lot about the chemo brain. We talk a lot about just heart defects and just like different types, but hearing loss is very specific. I know a couple survivors who have had some hearing loss because of the treatment. But it looks like, just, it really seems, it seems like you cope well with it and you know what to do. You said that you were in front of the class,
Mhm.
and that's amazing. You always, yeah, that's something that's very smart of you. You know how to manage your late effects,
Right.
right? You're in control of it, and that's
Correct.
something we want to teach here in Behold Be Gold, all of our childhood cancer survivors, that you got to advocate for you, and you got to advocate that if you have something that's happening within your body, that's gonna prohibit you from like learning, just you had that control, right? You have the control to change it, right? So yeah, so I think that's good. That's seeking control. So I think that's amazing that you cope with that good, and yes. and you said YouTube videos as well. Another question over here is, we're going to get to this question. It says, you mentioned working as a freelance model and author. Can you tell us more about your experiences in the fields and how they intersect with your identity as a survivor?
Ooh, that's a loaded one. What is
That is a loaded one.
good?
So,
So,
yeah. You got it though, right?
yeah, I got it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So when I first started modeling, I was like 14. I was in high school, and modeling taught me about self-confidence.
yeah.
That's all it is. Like, in order for you to sell whatever you need to sell, whether it's magazines or walking down a runway show or even like informal modeling, like car shows, wedding shows, or anything, it's all about how you feel within yourself.
Yes.
And I learned like the different ways of how they teach you. Like they're not trying to teach you how to be anyone but yourself. You know, if you have almond eyes, you should do your makeup like this. If you have these type of brows, this is what makeup look better on you for that. And I actually learned in the experience of being a model how to love like my late effects and how to love like myself and my scars and everything. Like when I first started, like in the 90s, it was like, you know, like I have scars on my body. I have scars from my port. I have scars from where my gallbladder was taken out. And I used to be like, oh, like you kind of get like ashamed, like, you know, because like, how am I going to sell a swimsuit with these scars on my body? And it's like, now it's like if you look at like all these other different brands like Fenty and all these, they celebrate those. They celebrate the women that have the mastectomy scars, and they celebrate like the like quadrupedic, like you only have like one
Yeah.
limb, and now it's like it's a thing to be like, you know, disabled or to have these effects and whatnot. But
Mhm.
back in the day, it was like, oh, you know, you got to put some makeup on, and you make it
Mhm.
work. Um, so, but modeling definitely taught me that it's okay to be who you are, and
Mhm.
it's okay to advocate for yourself in that sector. So like even like with public speaking and how to present yourself, like when I go to fundraisers and I go to nonprofits and I go and I tell my story, like that seed was modeling.
Yeah.
That confidence, that building, that advocacy for yourself started with modeling. I didn't have if I didn't have those little basic footsteps, I probably would not be able to say like I could probably be ashamed of myself, you know, and all the things that have made cancer, you know, and you during your journey with cancer, I think we all go through that phase where it's just like, oh my God, if I didn't have this disease, my life would be normal,
Mhm.
right? You know, I wouldn't have this hearing loss. I wouldn't have these chemo brain. I wouldn't have these scars on my body. I wouldn't have to work twice as hard in order for me to learn something. I wouldn't have to make all these lifestyle changes. But then again, at the end, it's who I am.
Yes.
That's part of
Yeah.
my identity is a cancer survivor. That's part of it. It's being a voice for those people who are not heard.
Yeah.
No one knows our story.
No.
And that's the advocacy, and that's the modeling, and that's the confidence. As far as like writing and being an author, I'm published Chemo Kids, my book, but I also am published in Infection Control Today magazine,
Mm.
something that's a completely different audience. But writing for me has always been easy.
Yeah.
It just comes natural. And when I was thinking about writing a book, I wanted something that spoke to me as a child growing up, right? Because I wanted those books. Like my mom would sit down and read with me, and I'm like, I wanted to see myself. And that's kind of like the idea that sparked Chemo Kids was like, why can't I tell my story for that 2-year old that's in the hospital
Mhm.
experiencing it right now, you know?
Yes. Yeah, yeah, that those are all, I mean, incredible like thoughts of, just the confidence and and then just like the willingness to just put yourself out there in the sense of like, okay, like I'm gonna write this book, publish this book. And all the confidence that you said you build through, I mean, it all intersected. It does at the end of the day. That's crazy how like, you grow up as a childhood cancer survivor and then like you start noticing that your life as you live your life, there's all these intersections that come within, because the more you're experiencing your life, the more you notice how your past is affecting your future.
Exactly.
And it's like mind blowing. And then you're like writing all these essays, like you have so much you have so much to work upon,
Right.
right?
Right.
Like, so I think that is really, I think I've talked to many survivors about that too. It's like you experience this as a child, and now you have your whole life to kind of write, whether it's a book, whether it's this, what I'm doing right now, whether it's so many outlets to express yourself. And so I think that's really cool how that got intersected. Um, Another question. What advice would you give to the other childhood cancer survivors who may be struggling with late effects but still have dreams and ambitions?
Go for it. Don't let anything stop you. Don't let no one stop you. Like, even like, I mean, like right now, like there's some things happening in my life, and I beat them at their own game. Like, don't let anyone stop you. Don't let anyone tell you that you can't do anything. Always stay positive. Always believe in yourself, because there's always gonna be someone. There's always gonna be that one that's gonna tell you, "Oh no, you can't do it," or "No, you can't do this." But there's
Yeah.
always gonna be a million other people that are behind you that are rooting you on.
Yes.
And that's where you go. You go where the love is.
You
You
go
go where
with
the
the,
positivity is. You
yes.
don't go to the enemies and the haters and
No,
no,
no, no,
we
no.
don't do that. No.
No, and you, I love it. I love, the energy that you're providing everybody else with here, because that is what Behold Be Gold is about, right? It's about providing that positive energy where there's some darkness, right? So
Right.
so there really is, not all about, not all of, we don't want to say that everything about survivorship is dark and late effects are dark and this is dark. No, no, this Behold Be Gold is really about, the optimism and the things that you get to accomplish along the way that make those things like, despite my late effects, I'm able to do this, right? So I'm able to publish this book. I'm
Mm-hmm.
able to still be myself as a freelance model. I'm able to, so all these things, it's like you keep going and persevering. And so it's like, it's amazing. It's amazing. Um, okay. Now we're getting to the part where Ashley will be reading to us her Chemo Kids book. This is really exclusive right here on Behold Be Gold. We are very excited. We get the sneak peek. It's a really cute, friendly book for childhood cancer patients of all, of really everybody, whether it's the family, whether it's the children, and really just maybe like, it's like we mentioned with Ashley when we talked about the book, it's like it also could be for like the students at a classroom who are wanting to learn about childhood cancer. This is a great book
Mm-hmm.
for that. It's just, it has so much, like, it's really cute, it's very brief, it's really like, to the point, and it has child language, which I love.
Mm-hmm.
So those are also great books for child life specialists in the hospital environment, for summer camp, for camps, for everything. So this is amazing. So Ashley, I will let you take it on.
Okay.
And yeah, please take on the book, and we will be here waiting and
Okay.
watching and having fun. All
All
right.
right. Yeah. So I want to say that this is my story. I guess I can explain it to you after I read it. But okay, so this is Chemo Kids. You
Whatever
can
floats
see
your boat.
that. So
Chemo.
this is actually my best friend who passed of leukemia in a hospital. His name was Scotty. He and I had cancer at the same time. I was 2, he was 3, and then he relapsed when I was 14 or 15 with a brain tumor. So this is him, and then this is me here. So I'm Erica in this book. Okay, so this is when I had red hair. You gotta change it up a little bit.
Very awesome. We all go
All
through
right,
that phase. Yeah.
all right. So this is Sam, and it says, "Hello, I'm Sam. I have cancer." And
So
you can.
so for us it's backwards, but it's okay because we're gonna be hearing you out. So
Okay. Yeah. So you can kind of see like he's in the bed, you
yes.
know. And then this is his medicine. So he's saying that I have to take my medicine in order for me to feel better. So you can kind of see he has a little syringe on his bed and whatnot. Kind of similar to what happens when you get like a PIC line or IV started in the hospital.
Hmm.
And it says, I get my medicine through my PIC line. It gives my body a drink. So these are the words. And then you can kind of see his little PIC line with the dressing on it. He's
Hmm.
happy. He's getting his hydration on, some IV fluids. And then this is his friend, Erica. And now Erica has a port. All right. And it looks like a small little bump in your chest. All right. That's where you have access to your medication. And then it says, my port can give me medicine, blood, and my body a drink. And you can see her. She's holding her blood.
Hmm.
Happens to be O blood type, like, I don't know, like Ashley. And a port. Okay. And then it says, my nurse says I'm very strong. So these are actually my life specialists, my doctor, my pediatric oncologist, Dr. Bob. That's me and Scotty and the two other children that were in the hospital with us.
No.
And then it says, sometimes I have to get a CT scan. It looks like a giant donut, and it does.
Yeah.
That is my dog.
Hey, friend.
Yep. And it says sometimes I have to get an ultrasound. It looks like a robot. So you can see he's getting ready to get an ultrasound done with Erica. And then in between treatment, I do music therapy. So you can see like the music studio.
Hmm.
And it just kind of reminds me of like when, like in between sessions, we had to like play with our hands and stuff and like the maracas and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, and it says also between treatments, we do art therapy. And that's us painting.
Oh.
And it says when we have free time, we play together. And they're
Oh.
outside.
That's amazing. That's so cute.
And then and it says it's nice to have friends during this time. And it's on the horse. But that's my mom. That's my dad.
Oh.
And this is actually the horse from my Make-A-Wish.
Oh,
So when
wow.
I went to, when I finished treatment, I was a Make-A-Wish kid,
Mhm.
and they provided me with horse riding, like animal therapy.
Wow, that's amazing. That's what you asked for?
Yeah,
That's so
that was my wish. Yeah,
cool.
my wish was if I were to survive, I was supposed to go to Disney World.
Okay, wow, that's so
Yeah,
cool. That's so cool. Wait,
yeah.
but I'm a little confused. You went, did you end up going to Disney World, or was it, did you get to ride a
No,
horse or what?
I went to Disney World, and then
Okay.
during like the, I guess, what is it called, like resort
Yeah,
stay or
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
vacation,
Yeah,
there, like part of it was
the
the horseback riding.
horse. That's so
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Oh, that's a great wish. Well, that thank you. Thank you for reading us, Chemo Kids. Now we have an insight, and that is definitely good to to have as a resource, like I mentioned, in many locations. And I love the art within it, which we'll get to talk about in a little bit. And I also love the language. So this language, if our community notices, it's very child friendly.
Mhm.
It really kind of like simplifies it for a child. The words that are being used are very childlike manner. So that's kind of the emphasis there too, that they're very simple for someone to understand, or someone young, and even somebody old.
Yeah, yeah. That was one of my reviews. Was a grandmother bought it for her children whose mother was undergoing breast cancer. So she
Oh,
bought it for the kids so they can have an understanding of what their mother was going through.
see, and that's a great book. Exactly. Yeah. So for like for the adults who are, they're in that palliative care state, and they have their child or their caregiver, the caregiver. And I see. So it's for the caregiver to give to the child to understand what the adult's going through. So what you're saying?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Yeah, that was one of my Amazon reviews.
that's
Yeah.
amazing. Um All right, next question that we have is how do you think chemo kids can benefit children who are undergoing cancer treatment or have loved ones going through it? So yeah, let us know a bit more about that.
Yeah. So, like I kind of mentioned before, the book is more for it's for kids undergoing treatment. Like when I was a kid, I wanted someone. I knew my world was changing, right? I knew I wasn't like everyone else. Like I knew like everyone was going outside playing and this and that, and I had to be in by a certain time. And I knew my world was changing. I wanted someone to explain it to
Hmm.
me, and that's the birth of Chemo Kids because I wanted that book when I was undergoing treatment. But it's like I said, it's also for adults, you know,
Hmm.
who parents, you know, they may be experiencing breast cancer, prostate cancer, etc. And so they may want to give that to their 5 year old or their 6 year old who, hey, mommy is going through a change. They don't know what a PICC line is. They don't know what all these tubes are hooked up to. They don't know what to experience and they don't know about the treatment. So it's also for those type of families as well.
Yes, yeah, yeah, love it, love it. It really is very inclusive to all and really educational to a lot of people. So Um, that's great. I love it. And I'm sure everybody who is watching or will be, watching this later is really gonna appreciate all that within the book. Um, can you tell us, another question, can you tell us about the process of collaborating with Sana, um, and the illustration and how you envision the illustrations that enhance the story? So
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like there's a lot to say about that because it's so vivid,
Yeah.
so nice.
So, how we started collaborating was I actually did a writing,
Mm-hmm.
and it was originally supposed to only be like 10 pages, but then she made it like each page double.
Mm-hmm.
So you can have the illustration and the writing both on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually sent her pictures from my experience. So I sent her pictures with me on a horse. And I sent her pictures of my doctor, and I sent her pictures of my life specialist. And I sent her pictures of friends, and even Erica, like me, I sent her pictures of me when I had red hair. So she kind of made my own narrative into a child's book. Like it's actually my story and my pictures and everything. Her just recreating the story. And then when she first sent me the draft, I was like, like I got all emotional because I was like, oh my god,
Wow.
like
Yeah.
yeah, like the
Personal.
colors,
Yeah.
the brightness, the
It's beautiful.
even the small details. Like I had a blue dress back then. I
Yeah.
had a little blue jumper dress, and you know, like the blood type too. Like my blood type is O.
Wow.
Like there's still all those little types of details that she made it like me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm grateful for that.
I really, I think within a children's book, that is that's something to extremely emphasize is the not just the text that we talked about, but also the pictures that go into it. Because even
Mhm.
if the child can't really read, they can see a child with a bald head, and then
Exactly.
automatically they're like, oh, my brother looks like that, or like somebody a child who can't really, understand, even a child who can't even read yet, those words, right? So I think
Right.
the the illustration's everything, and it tells the story behind it. You don't even have to see the words. So I think that's very inclusive as well. um, Getting towards the end of our questions is, okay, last question, and then we'll kind of conclude everything. But uh, Chemo Kids has been praised for its representation of marginalized childhood and adolescent patients. Can you speak more about the importance of representation in literature, especially in the context of childhood cancer? Love that question.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, no, yeah, I mean, like I wanted, like I said, like I wanted my story, and I part of my story is I am African American,
Hmm.
and so I personally felt like in literature there's not a lot of audience that speaks to that demographic. There's not a lot that speaks to minorities.
Hmm.
There's not a lot that speaks to women, especially in like a kid's book. Usually it's a different audience. And Sana, the person who actually illustrated the book, is also a person of color as well. And so, like, even when we did it together, we were like, oh,
Wow.
we have to put us in there because we want to see us because
Yeah.
this is our work and everything that we put in together. And so I kind of like take pride in that. Like in the beginning, I was like, oh, we can put a couple, but like now it's like, oh, I think
Yeah.
it's the representation
Yes.
that's very important.
Huge.
It is
Huge.
because it's not
It's
seen,
not
and
saying
it's
no.
not, and it's we live in a world that's very
Yes.
diverse, but it's also they're still lacking in that type of literature when it comes to African Americans, minorities, Hispanics, and us telling our stories. But
Hmm.
I think that makes the book special.
Yes.
That makes it unique is the fact that there are, different colored people in this book.
Exactly. Exactly. And especially here in the United States. It really is something that you're right. Like once when I got your book, I was like, huh, this is very resourceful for my resources for childhood cancer,
Mhm.
to educate families, to show children, and really just to show that, childhood cancer is not just one race, right? It's many races. I'm Hispanic, and I would love to see more Hispanic books of children too, so there of
Mhm.
children with cancer. There's really not much that is offered out there for this specific population, and childhood cancer unfortunately is something that it's unfortunately becoming more and more frequent that you hear
Mhm.
about. Sad to say, but it's the reality. So there, it could be, like I said, any type. It needs to be very diverse if we're going to be providing resources. This is a great resource, because it really talks and brings a voice for the African community, like you're saying.
Right.
And these books need to be put in shelves in the hospitals and everywhere else, even in the school system as well,
Libraries.
libraries.
Yeah.
So yeah, where do you, let me ask you that, where do you see like these books being put? Where do you, thinking outside the box, where can this book be used besides the hospitals?
Yeah, so I'm actually working on getting it in libraries here locally and back home in St. Louis. I've donated 10 copies to another small nonprofit down here in Miami. So they're actually, when they go and make rounds, like when they drop off food or when they give out gift cards, they're actually handing out my book to younger kids.
Hmm.
I also want it to be in like literacy fest, where they have festivals where like they have independent publishers selling their book and whatnot. But I want it to be something that can be in the school system as well. Because the distribution is amazing because it's Amazon. And I mean, anyone
Yeah.
can get
Anyone,
Amazon. Amazon's
even
like
in
everywhere,
another
all over the
country.
world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So that's my goal. Like I want it in schools, I want it in hospitals. I've had two or three other nonprofits reach out to me that want it. So I love that it's like a tool and it's being utilized for what it's being the
Yeah,
story being told.
for sure. For sure. And those, like I said, again, representation is huge. It's huge. And within the childhood cancer community, with experience of seeing so much of different types of families, there is a lack of more representation. And just, it's not, we need to know that childhood cancer is not just white individuals, it's also people of color,
Hmm.
right? So very important, and that's why this book, I give it a above 10 stars, because it just brings all that, it packs that all in there.
Right.
And children want to be able to see themselves within the book as well, right?
Right.
So yeah, thank you, Ashley. So we were we went over all these awesome points. This video will be published in other social media outlets. This was, I think this live went effectively. I think it flowed well. I was a little nervous because it was my first time invited a guest. I love you were my first guest. This will be marked in history of Behold Begold. Thank you so much, Ashley, for your time. I know you just got home from work. You busy nurse. You grinding, grinding, grinding. And your dog needs some love.
Yes, he
So
does. He's dying for some attention. I'm gonna give it some too as soon as we get
like,
off this call. Yeah.
call me.
No, he saw
So
somebody outside, and I'm like looking at him. I'm like, you know what's going on, but whatever.
no, but we thank you here on Behold Be Gold. We're excited again too that you were able to come on here. And yeah, everybody, I'm gonna encourage you right now to follow Ashley Brooks. She's tagged on my Instagram. Please go follow her. I'll do a story, and I kept doing stories, so you could go follow her, get her book. It's available. Ashley, you want to tell people where it's available and your Instagram name so people can follow you as well?
Yes. So my book, Chemo Kids, is available on Amazon. It's available in Kindle ebook, and it's also available in paperback. You can follow me on Ashley Constance 30 on Instagram. I also will be creating a Facebook page for Chemo Kids as
Awesome.
well. And also I'm on LinkedIn as well, but that's a little bit more corporate,
That
you know.
well, we need corporate people to buy this book. So
Yes.
very key, very key. Yeah, well, Ashley, you answered all the questions that we had, and we are very appreciative of you. So thank you so much for coming in here with us. And again, this space, Behold Be Gold, is for childhood cancer survivors to connect. Those undergoing the late effects of cancer treatment, we want to hear you out. We want to hear your voice. We want to hear all the awesome things you're accomplishing today. We know that you might be struggling with some late effects. However, know that there's support. This platform is for that. So please join, follow Behold Be Gold, follow Ashley Brooks, get her book, because it's something that's really resourceful. Even if you don't have childhood cancer, even if you have nothing to do with childhood cancer, this book might serve somebody in your community. So please go take a look. And again, thank you, Ashley, so much for being here. Thank you, everybody who were able to tune in live. And we will be posting this later on for those who missed out, but we appreciate you. Thank you,
All
Ashley.
right. Thank you.
All
Thanks
right,
for
take
having
care.
me.
All
All
right,
right. Bye.
bye. Bye bye.